I needed to get some Spanish wine for my wife and myself for a nice little night in. And this place has got some pretty good stuff. I mean, it is a supermarket, but trust me, just trust me. It's not the biggest selection, but honestly, this stuff's great. I mean, Beefeater is an incredible gin. Ethereal Gin is here made here in Massachusetts. I've had Citadel before, which I really enjoy in France. And then the Drum Chambeau from Ireland is really good too. Love Montenegro, Mr. Black's, Campari and Aperol. You know, you gotta have them. They're classics. Chinola stuff's so good. If you guys want to make something like passion fruit but don't want to make your own syrup, Chinola is incredible. I really like Old Forester, and then Redwood Empire are some incredible bourbons as well, and whiskeys, I should say. And then, you know, you have some other more middle of the road stuff, but you have Santa Teresa from Venezuela. It's a nice Venezuelan rum. And then 10 to 1 actually makes some really good stuff. Flor de Caña, I actually do like their product. They're really good too. And not for what most of you guys probably tuned in for. I mean, Mi Gente for 47 bucks, like that's pretty insanely good for the Blanco. Such a great brand as well. Don Fulano, we just talked about them recently. Love their products. Really do think they're such a great brand. Tequila Ocho, really outstanding as well. G4, I mean, I've talked about these quite a bit. You have Cimarron and Arete, but this is not the regular Arete. This is the Artesanal, which is really, really tasty. And Tapatio, which is a brand that I had never found a great price for, but truthfully, I think it's time that we talked about it. So we're going to take this. I need to review this. I haven't reviewed this yet. It's the one brand that Carlos Camarena makes that I haven't reviewed, or used to make, because now he's not the master distiller anymore, but his sister Jenny is. So that's cool. We're gonna give this one a shot. I'm really pumped to get to try this one. And then you have, of course, Cascajuin. Great tequila. You really can't go wrong with anything made at Cascajuin. Really one of my favorite distilleries. Further down here, you have both Vida and Bañas, which I do really enjoy. Lalo for 45. Then Volans, another insanely great tequila made at the same distillery as G4. And then you have Siete Leguas, outstanding as well. Arte Nom, really great fun project that they're showcasing different tequila made at different gnomes. And then Weber Ranch, which is a vodka made from the Blue Weber agave. I have quite a few feelings about this. Mostly that I hate vodka and I don't think it should exist. And I think that using Blue Webers to make vodka seems a little redundant when the whole point of vodka is that it's supposed to be flavorless, colorless, and odorless. So why do you need to use agave? But that's just me, right? I don't know. Maybe you don't agree with me. Maybe you think I'm just going crazy. But and then a lot of you guys have asked me about this brand. I used to endorse and talk about La Gritona quite a bit, but I've actually had a lot of inconsistency issues with them. I've had really great bottles, and I've had some bottles that just didn't taste right. So I don't know if it's because they rapidly scaled too much or what's going on with that, but I really don't know why. And then inconsistency is not a good thing, especially when, you know, I want to tell people that they should get it, and the price has gone up quite a bit, and I don't know. It's just something's off about it, and I don't want to, you know, go down that road right now. And Ford's gin, incredible price too, like such a great workhorse gin. And Simon Ford's a really cool dude too. What I love about these bottles as well is that on the back they have these measurements, and you can use them once it's empty to make your batches or make your bar stuff. Really, really useful. I wish more brands did that. All right, now to get what we actually came here for. So my wife was only going out for some wine, so let's find some wine. I'm usually very partial to South American wines, but I told her I wanted to find some Spanish wine for us tonight. One example is Catena Chardonnay, one of my favorite South American Chardonnays we featured at my bar and restaurant. And I think we finally got to the Spanish wines. There's some Albarino, there's some Campo Viejo, which is pretty standard. But then that looks pretty interesting. Cune, Rioja. I think we're gonna go with this one. Never tried this one, but I would like a nice little Grenache. I don't know. Let's try it. I know nothing about it. Let's find out. So, even though I just wanted to get 2 bottles of wine, and their selection's not massive for spirits, but just like for what they have, the concentration of great stuff is actually pretty crazy. Like they don't have a bunch of like the super high sellers. Like they just really do focus on good stuff, which I love to see. So, shout out to them. And if you're in the Framingham, Natick area in Mass, this is a good spot to go.
And so we picked up this bottle of the Tapatio 110. And Tapatio is actually a brand that I really should have talked about a very long time ago on the channel, and for whatever reason I just never picked up a bottle of it. And this is a really important brand of tequila, and it is made by the Camarena family. And it has been made by the Camarena family since it was introduced to Mexican markets in 1940. It's a very long time. But despite being on the market since the 1940s in Mexico, it was actually not available in the US until 2012. And it's not just about the history, it's also about where it's made. This tequila is distilled at the distillery La Alteña, which is the same distillery that makes El Tesoro. Both of these brands were created and are still distilled up until very recently. Master distiller Carlos Camarena, who is also the master distiller of Tequila Ocho. But recently there was some news that Jenny Camarena, Carlos's sister, is actually who used to be the head of production, or the production, basically she was in charge of all the daily operations of the brands and the distillery. She is now the master distiller. She is the first female master distiller in her family's lineage of tequila distillers, and which is really cool in a male-dominated field. And she's been with the brand for a very long time, and it is also in her family. And you know how much I've raved about El Tesoro, and I've talked a lot about Tequila Ocho. So where does Tapatio kind of fit in? As you can tell, like, the branding is much more simple than the, at least relatively speaking, the new branding for El Tesoro. And I've spoken to a couple of people who really love the vibe of the Tapatio labeling and hope that they never change it, just because it's somewhat iconic. And on the back of the bottle, it's embossed similarly to the same, design on the front. It's on the back there. And one very fascinating tidbit or information about these two brands that are still made at La Alteña, which Tequila Ocho used to be made at La Alteña, and now they have their own distillery. El Tesoro was actually sold to Suntory, even though the production is still handled by the Camarena family and they control production for it. Tapatio is still wholly owned by the Camarena family. So out of their 3 legendary brands that they have helped shape and create, Tapatio is the last one where it's still their own family brand. Which, I mean, obviously El Tesoro, they still control all the production and they make all the decisions for it. But there is a company that does own the brand. Tapatio is still owned by the Camarena family. So all of that's really cool. Let's talk about this actual bottle. This is the 110. This is it's 55% ABV. This is made Tahona crushed, and it is fermented with the fibers of the agave in the fermentation pit. And I've actually gotten this question quite a bit of, like, what does that actually do in a tangible sense? Well, a lot of times when they go to ferment agave juice after it's been cooked and crushed, they usually separate the fibers and let it ferment just the juice. But leaving the agave fibers in there actually does change the fermentation process. Obviously, you have another substance in there that is helping to kind of either help or change the fermentation. It's more work to leave the fibers in because you have to get them into the fermentation tanks after it's been crushed, but essentially it does change the final product's flavors. A lot of folks will attribute it to having a more earthy, maybe more unpredictable kind of flavor because you don't know maybe what could happen because it's less controlled in a sense, because sometimes you are fermenting in open vats. And so with the fibers in there, it sometimes lengthens the fermentation process. It can create some unexpected flavors, usually in a good way. I'm sure maybe sometimes fermentation can go bad. I don't know. I'm not a master distiller. I just drink booze and poison people for a living. But it sometimes leads to this really fun, funky flavor, which is really great. Well, all right, Louis, you've babbled on long enough. Let's crack this open and let's taste it. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm a sucker for high-proof tequilas, and I'm really excited to try this one. Oh, I love the smell on that coming off the bottle. I'm getting ahead of myself. On the nose, really great agave aroma. A little bit of black pepper, a little bit of citrus, a little vegetal, and a little like flowery, if you will. And I will. Man, that is robust and incredible. And wow, that will put some hair on your chest, is what I'll tell you. That seems a little sexist. That will, I don't know what the equivalent is for women. Let's just, it'll put a little pep in your step. That seems a little bit better. A lot of that black pepper, earthy, minerally flavor. It's robust. It's really in your face, strong agave flavor, which is really delicious. And I'm getting some like hints of like mint, which is really cool. That is truly outstanding. I didn't know what to expect. I genuinely had never tasted it. I never bought a bottle to the bar. I feel like an idiot. So, yeah, cheers, guys. This is absolutely incredible. If you see Tapatio, definitely give it a shot. This 110, I'm really excited to play with it in cocktails. I think that this could be a stellar addition. And I'm probably gonna have to find a place to keep this full time up there. So, cheers to that.